Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 150 of Iblis Manifestations. I must admit, I feel very lucky and quite privileged to even be able to utter those words. When I first started this podcast, I had absolutely no expectations that it would turn into what it has done for the last 3.5 years. And I certainly don't know if I will be doing this podcast forever, but what I am truly grateful for is all of you who have tuned in to the podcast for this period of time. And yeah, I am overwhelmed. So I just wanted to take a moment to really say thank you, because had it not been for the encouragement of you guys tuning into the show and the interest that you have shown, I don't think I would have really carried on for this long, to be completely honest with you. So thank you for that once again. Again, a lot of what I do on this podcast is very much driven by my own curiosity, and I like to have very human conversations with different people. Albeit, given a lot of the people who've been on the show are of an extreme metal or heavy metal nature, I think that it's always good to try and see where these people come from, okay? Just to name a few guests who have been on the show, we have had Wrath, Necrobutcher, Tom G. Warrior, the Magus of Necromantia, Silenos, my friend Paul Riedel from Blood Incantation, Eric Danielson. The list goes on, man. It's been a true honor to be able to have these conversations in front of you all. And you should also understand that some of the people that I mentioned, including many others who I haven't mentioned, are people that I literally fucking grew up listening to. And so for me, aside from being an artist, as a fan of music, every second of this has been a true blessing. So, with all the pretty stuff out of the way, I've got a really fucking special one here for you all. So we've got my friend Sturla from Locabrenna, previously known for Svartidauði, coming back on the podcast. And this was a really interesting conversation. So for those of you who know, Sturla and I already did sort of like his first public appearance in, I think it was something like 5 years. Earlier this year, when we were both in Barcelona, we did an in-person episode together, which was fantastic. That was a great conversation, kind of elaborated a little bit on his absence from music and from just public life in general. However, that conversation is a mere appetizer compared to the one that you have in front of you right now. This was a truly phenomenal discussion. Iblis Manifestations at its finest, if I may say so myself. And it's a conversation that will hopefully leave you feeling like every single brain cell of yours has been challenged to its core. That's kind of at least my hope anyway. So yeah, if you're coming into this expecting music talk about your influences or just music talk, you may as well just skip to another channel, because that's not it. But instead, what you do get is conversations on life, philosophy, quite a lot on the conspiracy front. It's called conspiracy theories, but generally most of them have turned out to be true anyway. At least the ones that Sturla and I decided to talk about. But nevertheless, I'm not going to spoil much more of it besides what I've already said. All I can say is thank you all so fucking much for supporting Iblis Manifestations, for tuning into the podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed what we've had to do. And I would like to just give a quick shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon as well, who make monthly donations to the podcast. I very much appreciate your support. I do this podcast not for financial reasons, but out of the pure enjoyment of these conversations and the excitement that I get from sharing these talks with you guys. So any kind of support is always more than appreciated. Again, it's not the reason why I do it, but if it's there, then I just want to say thank you all. And in addition to that, I'd like to also give a shout out to my fellow horsemen of the podcasting apocalypse, particularly my very good friend Jackie Smith, for his support throughout the show. He's part of the reason why I started this podcast, and yeah, he's just a good brother of mine, and I think you guys already know about us. Anyway, I don't want to take too much more time. I hope you will enjoy the podcast. And if you like it, share it around and enjoy. Welcome to Iblis Manifestations. Okay, right. Sturla, my man. There we go. So this is episode 150 of Iblis Manifestations, and you've got your little sage over there, even though you somehow happen to be smoking it. This is a fucking special one, man. 150, bit of a milestone over here, and I am extremely fucking stoked to be sharing this one with you, man. How the fuck are you doing tonight?
I am doing great, my brother. Pleasure as always. Like we did this episode the last time and we were going to talk about things, but then we just started talking about something completely different. So now maybe we can finally, after 4 or 5 months of foreplay, we can finally get to the big showdown.
Absolutely. So the way I want to kind of address this is, obviously, some people who are tuning in right now must be thinking, oh, wow, didn't these guys just do an episode together? Well, here's the thing. The first episode that we did was fucking awesome, first and foremost. It was a great conversation, but it was short, okay? And we were, when you were in person and then we had other stuff happening, you and I had to go and watch Dead Congregation. We specifically said we wanted to catch the last 2 songs, which is exactly what happened, by the way, the moment we got there. They started.
Dude, it's like we were laughing at, like, as soon as we walked into the venue, they start with you walk into the venue, and as soon as our feet just stopped and we place ourselves down there, it fucking starts.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they do the other song straight after. So, the fucking scent of prophecy is here, man.
Well,
synchronicity.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't, it's just one of those things, man, things just worked out perfectly. But once again, and then, of course, after that, we watched Beherit, which was fucking sick.
Dude, man, I have seen at least 3 shows in my life. This was one of the fucking best concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And you were sober, so you should remember this better than me, but I remember, passing you again in the hall and just like, motherfucker, how are these guys 75 years old and doing this shit?
Yeah.
Totally blew me away.
A, the sound was perfect. B, the fucking lighting was spot on. And C, just hearing those songs live, which is, again, one of those things that you never think is going to happen. The other case of that for me was a few years ago when I got to see Merciful Fate. And then that and the Beherit show for me are kind of like way up there in terms of like maybe top 5 best shows I've ever seen. And the reason for that is, just the fact that, like they were playing and then it comes into that riff. I was like, fuck. Like immediately I went back to being a teenager in Iran, listening to that shit, thinking this is so fucking evil, and just being infatuated with it, and they did a great job of the feeling. That was my biggest concern is, are they gonna, is the feeling gonna be there? And it really was, particularly because of how late at night they were playing, and you and I had just had that killer conversation. So yeah, everything just fell into place perfectly. But once again, the reason why we are here is because that conversation was short. So the way I wanna approach this one is the following, and it's that the first conversation that you and I had on Iblis Manifestations is more like the appetizer, where it's like the olives, and a stick, and maybe like a tiny bit of like bread and some tiny olive oil. It's the appetizer. It's not even the starter.
Yeah, since we're both off keto now, we can have some bread.
Yeah, exactly. But now we're going straight from the appetizer to a fucking triple mix grill. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get out of this one. But we'll see where it goes.
Fuck yeah.
There we go.
Bring it on, question man.
Okay, so, all right then, I'll be the question man here. So, one thing that we didn't get to talk about last time was your current and upcoming project, Locabrenna. So, maybe we can start there.
You say that better than you do Svartidauði, so that's already a positive sign, I think.
Sure. There we
go. What was the question?
Just tell us about it, man. How the fuck did this thing get started? Where is it currently at now? Because I know you've made some progress since we also last spoke, so perhaps the timing's also a bit more appropriate. So just tell me, like, what is Locabrenna? What is this entity? What's the purpose behind it?
It's a totally narcissistic endeavor on my part. I mean, we spoke about the last time. Like, the pandemic happened. I'm spending all my time at this Mjolnir Fight Club MMA gym. And, Svartidauði is put to rest. All the other bands, they just, whatever. And I had kind of like, I was just like, okay, this plague is happening. Like, if I was trying to remember the numbers earlier today, because people also don't know that we only decided to do this episode 5 hours ago or something?
Thereabouts.
Like, if the summer of 2020 had actually happened and there hadn't been like the whole fucking partydemic shit, I personally was supposed to play for about, in total, 500,000 people from like May till August or something. Mm-hmm. And then that's just gone. You've spent the past 10, 15 years building up this band, finally you're starting to see, the fruits of your labor in a financial sense, you know what I mean? And just, no, sorry, computer says no, the world's been shut down. But like I told you, because I'm an accomplished athlete, which is fucking ridiculous, not complaining. I was just like, yeah, okay, so this is just my life now. Instead of, playing music, I'll just be like beating people up and getting my ass kicked. Mm-hmm. But as time went on, there's always, my head is always full of music. And most of the time I don't know if this is my original music or it's a song that I heard last week and now I'm just like remembering the bass line or something. And, I would come home, black eye, bloody nose, whatever. And I would take up the guitar, record it on my phone, whatever. And after a while, like, hey, whoa, I got a material for a whole song here, right? Mm-hmm. So the original plan was that I was going to make a 7-inch and I was not going to have my real name connected to it at all. Just do a 7-inch, put it out into the universe and then just, keep going on with my day. But Man, this is like a after school special, you know, on the dangers of addiction. Because, you know, you start like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna write this one song. Oh, actually, it's gonna be a 7-inch. Well, now I have almost 3 albums fully written and ready to go.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Right on.
So, and like, there are at least 2 good songs there. At least 2 good.
I like your modesty.
You know, I love yoga, but I'm not able to suck my own dick just yet. So give me 6 months and we'll see how we feel then. But what people don't know also, like what I thought we were going to be talking about mostly the last time around, is that 2 weeks, week and a half before that, I released a demo. On Walpurgisnacht. And just spread it, you know, to the people that I'm like in active contact with at the time, right? And because I'm totally getting, the ADHD is already showing, but going off subject, because like, when I've been seeing new bands pop up, they have professional sounding demo. They have professional looking graphics. They already have a web store with 3 t-shirt designs and a hoodie and a patch. And it's like, this is not what a demo band is in my mind, you know? A demo is something that, like, you dub a tape, you burn a CD. Of course, it's 2025, nobody is dubbing tapes. Like, I don't even know when I last had a computer with a fucking CD drive. But technology advances, and we have to adapt to it. So, you know, it's released as a Google Drive link, basically. And do it in such a way that you cannot Google it. Like, there's nothing, you hear about it, okay, I want to check it out, and there's nothing. And this was both like my idealistic aesthetics about what a demo band should be, right? It should be,
hear you.
Yeah. But it's also an experiment, a marketing experiment. And I'm sure there's going to be some basement cultists that are going to be mad about this, but I see marketing as an extension of basically magical practices.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You know,
interesting.
Yeah. We can get more into that in a bit.
Sure.
But I don't know, 20, 30 people that I gave this demo to, and I told them, if you think this is badass, feel free to send it to some badasses. Right? This is, well, Walpurgisnacht is the night before the 1st of May. So it's been, what the fuck is math, man? It's been, 4 or 5 months since?
Yeah. So we'll be coming up to 6 months in like about a week's time. And we're going, or thereabouts anyway. Yeah. My math could also be off, but nevertheless, let's just say roughly close to half a year. Okay, just to be safe.
Yeah, numbers don't exist anyway, man. Come on. Can you point me to a 3? No. But
yeah, I can point you to my legs. There's 3 right there.
Oh. Damn, son. You split one on a landmine when you were a kid?
Yeah, well, that's it. But anyway, man, you were saying.
Point being, this was also experiment in marketing, because like I said, marketing to me is just like a really mundane, practical application of magical principles, because it's all like based on words, how words are said, the rhythm of the words, the colors and the shape that you use to underline and amplify the words, right?
And then I guess a big part of it is also the timing as well. That's a key thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Purkisnacht, come on.
Yeah.
And I'm flying to Spain like half an hour after I sent out the first link. You know? Cool. Like the witches of old, I go and I write the night sky to the land of fantasy because Spain doesn't exist. It's a make-believe country. Anyway, so since then, till September 11th, when I officially announced to the world that I'm making music, Locabrenna is the band. Here's a song. Like, this worked way better than I had anticipated because, like, I'm alone in this band. Like, everything except for the visuals is done by me. Mm-hmm. And now I'm negotiating live shows on 3 different continents.
Yep. That's awesome.
So, I mean, yeah, I think it is. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's something is working at least. Something is working.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. I love your take on the PR being an extension of magic. I definitely I have become more and more a believer of that, you know, rather than seeing it as this sort of sterile plastic thing. I think it's actually a very interesting and powerful thing. You know, like the origin of the word PR goes back to propaganda. Obviously, people can look this up if they want to, and I think that propaganda
Sorry, you dropped out.
Yeah, I'm just saying that
you dropped out. Can you repeat?
Yeah. I got you, man. So that's what I was saying is that the origin of the term PR actually goes back to propaganda. And as I said, people can actually look this up for themselves, you know, and I think propaganda is essentially a form of magic, you know, but there's also why when
Absolutely.
It's interesting because it kind of ties into astrology or even like the cycles of the moon. You know, there's a reason why when I had Esther Segarra on the podcast the first time, you know, she was telling me how Ronald Reagan, like during his administration, they actually used to follow the cycles of the moon. And if it was full moon, they wouldn't release certain statements that they don't want people to necessarily hear. You know, sometimes you got a statement to make that you want everyone to hear it. If that's what they wanted to do, they'd aim for the full moon. If they had a statement that was perhaps going to be somewhat inflammatory, but they had to release it, they generally tend to do it around the new moon. Don't know if you knew that, but it's just an interesting little fact there.
This is absolutely new information to me, and something that really tickles my tinfoil.
And yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It did me as well, you know, and this is something that, you know, for example, you know, I can talk about it now, I guess, because it's a while away. But when we did the music video for Azrael, I was almost like there wasn't too much pushback, but I was almost like getting into arguments about the date when the video should come out. And I specifically wanted to come out around the full moon in July 2023, which is when the video initially came out. And now it's almost at 1 million views on YouTube. So, you know, there's
Shout out Mossad.
Yes, so we can talk about that. You were making some really funny points about that when we were hanging out in Barcelona, that I mean,
you were the first one to bring it up, though. I hadn't even thought about this part, that like you tell a story. It's your video.
well,
you're gonna
look.
I don't have your YouTube view numbers like on file in front of me.
I can't remember how the fuck we got into it, but it was basically something to the effect of, I mean, look, there are other videos that get 1 million views like all the time, but it's just not something that happens, especially that often in the context of black metal. I think the most viewed black metal videos on YouTube, I think the biggest one is Immortals All Shall Fall, which again, it's a very weird fucking choice, but it just is, you know, sometimes those are just the facts. And I think maybe a second to that is probably the full-length album to Exercises in Futility by Magua, which for whatever reason is just like has ridiculous reach on YouTube. But nevertheless, coming back into it, we were talking about that, and TRIVAX's Azrael hitting nearly 1 million. And then we were saying, like, what if this sort of thing, this sort of music is a great tool in propaganda, even ones that we ourselves maybe didn't even intend for, or maybe we did intend for it, and then it happens to align with something. Hi there everyone, just a quick moment of your time. This is to let you know that my band TRIVAX will be performing all across Europe come this November and December. We are going to be going on tour to support Absu joining forces with Zemail to do the 30-year anniversary of the Son of Tifereth album. And we will also be joined by Ancient. So this is quite a legendary lineup, as you can already understand, and it's an honor for us to be a part of it. District 19 are doing the courtesy of organizing this run, and we're going to be playing a lot of different places. We're going to be doing quite a number of shows in Germany. We will be playing in Italy, in Belgium, Netherlands, France, Austria, Switzerland, and that includes Eindhoven Metal Meeting, Brain Crusher from Hell in Germany, and Unholy Congregation in Belgium. And it's going to be a blast. We're very much looking forward to it. And of course, we're going to be playing in Poland as well, which will be TRIVAX's first time. This is going to be a very special run, and we are going to be supporting our album, The Great Satan, which came out via Osmos Productions on the 30th of May earlier this year. So you can expect to hear a lot of those songs, and you can also expect to see us at the merch table. So please, if you're a fan of the podcast, feel free to come along and say hello at the merch table. I will be around, and so will the rest of TRIVAX, and we look forward to seeing you all in the flesh. There will be a number of other shows that TRIVAX are also doing outside of the tour, so make sure to keep an eye out on those as well. And of course, if you do also wish to support TRIVAX, you can visit our Bandcamp page. We've got very limited number of copies of The Great Satan available on there. If you go and check out and your format of choice is currently sold out, you can also get your copies directly from Osmos Productions. And with that said, thank you for your support and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Have you seen this? It's probably 10 years old or so by now. There was this expose about how the CIA was financing not actually the painters, but the art collectors. This is during the Cold War. So they, because, CIA, all intelligence, like communities, agencies, whatever, they don't do anything, but they have subcontractors that do the shit for them,
Absolutely, yeah.
So Epstein was probably never a Mossad employee. He never worked in Mossad. Doesn't mean that he didn't work for Mossad or the CIA or Saudi, whatever. So during the Cold War...
what they're saying, just to open a little caveat there, what they're saying now, or at least the official narrative that's kind of unraveling, is that he did work he was a CIA informant, but obviously that means that, there is a conjunction to that as well, that you can kind of go figure out for yourself. But anyway, you can carry on if you like.
I mean, we all knew that he was an informant for intelligence agencies before that statement.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. This is kind of like, duh. Yeah, right? Point being, during the Cold War, Soviet Union,
all their visual propaganda is, maybe not all, but a lot of it is what we call social realism. Mm. You see the workers at work, you know, blah, 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 just everyday life in the Soviet Union. So, and of course, there's this, you know, the left-leaning intellectia, the academia, you know, in the West, they see the East as like this utopia, something, you know, to aspire to. So CIA gets this great idea. We're going to give a bunch of money to, like, I don't know, 5 different, like, high-ranking, high-profile art collectors. And they're going to start buying paintings from Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko and these, like, it's been 20 years since I last took an art history class, but it's either like modernist painting or postmodernist painting, to amplify like the intellectual, academic, cultural, like superiority of the West. So CIA never gave money directly to Jackson Pollock, but they gave money to people that then paid well over the then current market price for the paintings. And that's how the art world works. If you you sell an expensive painting, all of a sudden you're hot shit. So the point and let me make it clear, I am really much a fan of both Pollock and Rothko. I think they're wonderful artists. And I don't want to talk shit on them, but this is what you're saying. Like, if I am running an intelligence agency and I want to get anti-Iran propaganda out there, it's probably going to be much easier for me to find somebody who is already has that messaging and amplify that signal rather than to create it from the ground up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's and you know, what's the curly spook, Bustamante. He's on every other podcast these days. Ex-CIA. It's like this kind of I don't know, kind of an Afro kind of thing.
Okay.
I want to say his name is Andrew
The first person
Bustamante.
that comes to my mind is Mike Baker, but that wouldn't be the guy. He don't have curly hair.
Well, no. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's an ex-CIA. I mean, ex.
Yeah.
You're never ex-CIA. It's just
no, and you wouldn't be like. Come on, you know. I'm not I'm not shitting on the game, you know. But it's just kind of like as a mere spectator, you can't look at someone and then assume that their ties are done, or the fact that they have a platform is without any kind of reason. You know, that's just an extension of the job now. You know, and you have to be quite strict with that as well, because you know, doing a public representation of a narrative is that's actually a really difficult thing to do, especially in the context of like long form podcasts and whatnot. Which, by the way, in the case of the guy I just mentioned, he's actually very, very talented at that. You know, it's hard to not see through the fact that he has a specific message to put out there, you know, and that message may not be entirely of his own. You know, but that's just the nature of the game. You know, I'm not even like hating on him or anything, you know, or even the actual message itself. There's a lot of stuff I agree with, but I'm just saying, like, you have to take everything basically with a pinch of salt, you know.
I would say a fucking truckload of salt, personally.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But
my point, sorry, is that this curly guy, this Bustamante guy, some podcast or another, it was sometime during the summer that I saw this, he was talking about Epstein and P. Diddy. And like the podcast host, he's like, okay, so how do you cultivate a person to become this? And he's like, you don't cultivate shit. You just find the creeps and the perverts and the pedos, and then you promote them. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't create Epstein, you find them, and then you put him in a position of power and like launder billions of dollars through him.
Do you think that's what happens when you see art? This is a hypothetical example, although you can sort of dig it a bit more if you like to, but do you think that's kind of what happens when you see an artist like Younglove, for example? No, Youngblood. Youngblood. When you see someone like him coming up, you know. Who is
Youngblood again?
It's this young guy, you know, and I don't really know his music that well, but you know, he's doing really good at the moment. Really, really popular. He was like quite close to Ozzy, and then there's like all kinds of things, you know. But then whenever I see that,
he did one of the like last songs that Ozzy put out. He's on that, right?
Yeah, well, he was at the Sabbath reunion gig, and he was the only performance that I missed because I was in the queue for food. Which it sounded like he did a good job, but I kind of look at him and I'm like, you look compromised to me. Sorry.
I mean,
it's just how I look at it. He's a very talented artist, but to your point, I guess all you got to do is just look for someone who's already doing the thing, and then
exactly.
Just push it up,
I mean, I cannot comment on this particular dude.
Sure.
But
yeah, I got to be careful what I say as well, because I have, we are reaching the edge of the point where I'm like starting to think about like what I have to say, and having friends in the music industry, I don't want to just like shit on someone I don't know, but I'm just suspicious. I'm always not so much even suspicious of the person, but I'm very suspicious of the system. Do you get me?
Oh yeah, of course. Like, we as persons, we can't be total bastards or idiots, and more often than not, useful idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I cannot comment on this dude in particular, but I can relay some boomer hip hop knowledge. It's like with NWA, like they got ECE and they wrote his verses and they taught him how to rap, because now they have the street cred, because he was a real gangster. He was like a pimp and a dealer. Well, Ice Cube was just like in high school or something. So,
bro, you mentioned that. I'm glad you brought that up, because you're aware that the people who were the head of the label that was releasing NWA's original stuff, they were also owners of private prisons in America. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, of course I was aware of that, motherfucker. Who do you think you're talking to?
Absolutely. But it's an important point to bring up, again, kind of just goes back to the same thing.
And it's not just their label.
Yeah.
It's not just their label. It was all major labels at the moment. And this is in the early 90s. I want to say this happens in 92, allegedly. While like Fuck the Police was what, 87 or something?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. So I think like to take this principle that we're discussing now, like let's find the bastards, let's promote them and give them money, and they will act out the agenda on our behalf without knowing. Like, let's, just for the sake of argument, 87, 92, that's what, 5 years? And then you see in this 5 years the effects that this music is, like how it's affecting the youth culture and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I got a private prison. I get paid per head in a cell.
Yep.
I want to promote this music. Of course. And it's like what is being said about Joe Rogan, for example, these days, about how he was used as a useful idiot to promote, the whole fucking Palantir mafia and Trump and all that shit. Which I think is unfair because, I mean, let's be honest, what was his competition? Right?
Yeah.
But, whatever. But you understand what I mean, though.
100%. Yeah. I had many thoughts of my own when I was kind of watching the whole thing happen in America, and particularly Elon's involvement on the show, like constantly going on there, because it's a tool and it's an extension, But the thing is as well, to maybe play the devil's advocate a little bit, like in Rogan's position, like what would you have done? Would you have done something different, especially when like Kamala's campaign were being so awkward, trying to set up the chat on that part? I mean, listen.
No, you want to come to my show? You want to come to my show? You come to my studio and we do my show.
Yeah.
Because as far as I understand it, she didn't want his show. She wanted his name and his face.
Exactly. Well, they were saying that, from my understanding of it, because I was following this pretty...
Whoa!
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So I was following this pretty closely at the time, and what basically happened was the fact that her campaign, despite wasting probably millions of dollars, they...
$1 billion, I think it was.
1 billion, was it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was just a crazy sum of money, and it was just so sterile and unrelatable, sterile seeds, you could call it. And then they were basically like saying that Rogan, had to go interview her at one of their locations, and it was limited to an hour, which an hour is just kind of like, that's the point where you just get fucking warmed up, and then that's, the whole point of his show is not even so much the subjects, but it's the personality of the person, so you want to get to hear the personality of the person that's going to represent your country for the next 4 years, and they absolutely failed at that. But what I'm saying is, even though, like you said, he was maybe being you use the term useful idiot, but it's kind of like, well, what would you have done if you were in his situation,
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some people watching this a week from now who are going to be like, what the fuck? Don't you know what Trump is doing? Blah, 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 blah. And you know what? I agree. Fuck Trump. I said that even... back in 2015, 16, like, oops, see, the CIA is trying to take my AirPods away. But he's a fucking idiot and a corrupt fucking, I don't even know what. But think about it this way. You are at a bar. You just played a show. And you can either go talk to person A, who has done some fucking shady shit in their time, but they're a good hang. And then you have the option of talking to person B, who has the personality of a fucking cardboard box and can't speak a whole sentence without, their handlers whispering in their ear. And then you have to edit it all afterwards, which, makes sense for a bar conversation. But you know what I mean? It's like, who are you going to hang with?
Of course.
I'm going to go talk to the pervert. Yeah. I'm going to go talk to the pervert and hopefully have a few laughs at his or her. See?
They,
brave.
Thems. Yeah. Have a few laughs at they, them's expense. Yeah. It's, I think it's one of those things, really, But I'm not in the camp of just hating Trump for the sake of it. I think that you can, when it comes to politics, I think that emotions are a powerful tool. Don't get me wrong, but also
absolutely.
are your emotions being used against you to steer you in a certain direction, or are you going to use that towards what policies and values matter to you?
Now we circle back to marketing is a form of magic. What you were just saying, the manipulation of emotions.
For sure.
Through media signaling, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, a very, very powerful point. And that's what I mean, my personal take on it is, he's done some really stupid shit. He's done some also really great things as well. And I don't see him as...
Can you name three?
3 terrible things that he's done.
No. Anybody can name 3 terrible things. Can you name 3 cool things that he's done?
Cool things that he's done. Great question. Tell you what, some of the things that he's done that aren't even that great, they seem great just because of how much I think woke fatigue we all kind of felt throughout these years,
Absolutely. 100%, man. 100 fucking %.
Yeah.
And I believe that's totally by design. He is not the disruptor. He never was the disruptor that, he was marketed as. He attended, what's her name? Chelsea Clinton. Attended her wedding. The Clintons attended his wedding. These people are friends. These are not the political enemies that we have been led to believe. It's like George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
I know the Carlin quote, and I do like it. The other side of me thinks, though, that I think him initially taking over maybe bought us a little bit of time, because I do think had the other party won, I think we would have been straight into World War III. But I think that his, he is a friend and an asset, as you put it. But I think maybe there's just something a little bit more volatile there. This is a little harder to control. I don't know. I could be very wrong. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that hard to control. Yeah, fair enough. I'm open to that idea. And but the thing is, at the end of it, the other side was never the solution either. This is one of those situations. It's a classic tale of you can't vote your way out of this situation. Pure and simple.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it really boils down to that. You can't vote your way out of this. Like now we're getting into like fucking Antifa territory, because if democratic elections had any say in the things in this world, then they would be fucking illegal. Direct action needs to happen if you want to see change in the world. I think most people actually don't want to see change in the world. I think most people don't care about being a free individual. I believe that they care about being comfortable and safe individuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like freedom, like for me, freedom is numero uno on my priority list when it comes to just like the political talking points, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Individual freedom is always going to be number one for me. Most people don't care about that. They don't care about that we are heading into digital currency from the central banks, or that we're going to need, biometric IDs just to like live life.
Well, they fucking should.
Like, they should. By the way, dude, just like half an hour before, like I didn't have time to fact check this on my own because I was taking a shit. But like half an hour before we started talking, I was doom scrolling on the toilet and I saw that they're introducing over there something called like Britcard.
Yeah, it's like it's a digital ID in Britain. Yeah, Keir Starmer's just put it out there. Yeah, I've seen that, man. I ain't fucking touching that shit. Yeah, they can get fucked.
No, fuck
But
it.
once again, it goes back to the thing. I talked about this before, it's that guy I saw at the fucking David Icke event, who's wearing this shirt. It's the fucking best shirt saying, I identify as a conspiracy theorist and my pronouns are, I told you so. This is like a, this is like the fucking classic case of that, It's like, oh yeah, shit, this thing that you all called us crazy 5 years ago for saying that, look, they're going to introduce digital IDs. Now they're doing it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the new thing. We just go on with it. Like, come on, people, wake the fuck up. What the hell are you doing?
That's why people don't care.
Yeah, well, they should care, and when they start caring, it's going to be too late. The fucking thing with it is also like, I was so uncomfortable when I saw all these. I don't know if you have this over there in Iceland, but in the UK, they started like even like Aldi and places like that started having these like fucking gates that, when you enter the supermarket, the camera scans your face and then the gate opens. It's like, okay, how long is it going to be before you have to... Bro, this has been a thing...
Are you kidding me?
No, this has been a thing here for like fucking 5 years. I'm not... There's zero exaggeration there. And it's kind of like, okay, like eventually it's gonna get to the point where you have to go in there and then you gotta fucking hold your hand out, so it like or like your wrist, and then it's gonna scan your fucking implant chip or fucking whatever, just to let you in. Yeah. And then if you sent your mate a fucking racist meme, it's not gonna let you in the fucking store no more. That's the kind of shit. How far away is that? Like 2 years, 3 years? It's not far. That's a fucking problem. That's a real problem.
your man Trump just gave a deal to Palantir to make a AI-based database of every single U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
You think that's not a gateway to a social credit score?
I mean, first of all, he's not my man as such.
I know. I'm poking your ribs.
you are poking my ribs. But the thing with that is, that was one of the most suspicious things. The moment he took over, what was it, like fucking some ridiculous number, like 500 billion, just towards like this thing. I was just like, because the thing with him that always really pissed me off. People always say, "Oh, he's racist, he's sexist, whatever." It's like, you're not even looking at the real fucking problems there, like, how about the fact that he was responsible for Operation Warp Speed? I don't know if anyone remembers that, but the fact that even during his campaign, he was still like fucking bragging on about it. And then, it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Even people were like turning around saying like, hang on a minute, like what the hell is he doing? Why is he still bragging about this? Because he was, after all, the guy who gave all of the authorization to Anthony Fauci, the fucking rat-faced piece of shit. Oh, man. I hope he dies. I hate him so much. Not Trump, Fauci, but, Trump a little bit, but whatever.
Fuck them both. I hope they fuck each other to death.
I do, honest, I agree, but I don't share, like, equal hatred for things, There's, like, if I hate Fauci...
But it's really spot on.
Yeah.
It's really spot on to call Fauci a rat face, because the dude looks like a fucking anthropomorphic Disney character, like what's Ratatouille, like the rat cook film, but now he's head of the Department of Health or whatever they call it over there.
Bro, Ratatouille was a service to his community. At least he made good food. All Fauci did was like kill all the fucking innocent gay people and and poisoned like 60% of the planet. So there you go, if not more. Yeah, man. What can I say? I actually started a project for a while. This is first time I'm revealing this information. I've never released it. I might still release it, because I really, really fucking hate that guy for what he did to humanity. So I actually started a synthwave project called Prosecute Fauci. Did I ever tell you that?
That actually does ring a bell. I think you mentioned it when in Spain.
Did I? Yes, I did.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I could trust you enough that I could tell you that information. Yeah. I actually started writing a whole album. Yeah, it's good music as well. Like, I listened to it. I'm kind of like, this sounds like synthwave ring chaos. I still might release it. So yeah.
Oh, color me intrigued.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those things, man.
Yeah. And like, I have this super vivid memory of like when it was during the first lockdown. It's just like in the first week or something of the first lockdown, where I come across this information about the biolab in Wuhan. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is this real? I go put on my hacker hat and go, Google, is this real?
Yeah.
And I just, because, at the beginning, we didn't know jack shit. It's like, there's people dying everywhere. We're hearing about people literally falling over dead out in the street in China. And like, okay, wow, maybe you should take this seriously. And then I saw this and like, but why are they talking about the wet markets and eating bat meat? If there's this bioweapon lab in the same fucking city, 3 blocks away from the market, like, and they're specialized in coronaviruses. And not a week later, like, oh, the racist conspiracy about the biolab. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Now you lost me. It's the same feeling as when what's that fucking cross-eyed fox name? Cass Patel tells you that there's nothing in the Epstein files.
Oh, okay. Bro, I listened to that episode. I was like, what the fuck am I even hearing? It's like, why did you even agree to go on there in the first place? Like, you just made it so much more obvious. Yeah, so for people who are listening, like what we're referring to is obviously Kash Patel's appearance on Joe Rogan, where he basically went on there.
Just his appearance in the universe. Can you trust a single syllable that comes out of that fox face?
Yeah.
Like, no. It's like, I don't know. It's so...
Yeah. But you know what, Sturla? Sometimes I think, man, sometimes I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, there's these people who are always campaigning to say certain things and then put certain stuff out there. The second they get in there, there's like, oh, fuck, they can't even, like, their silence is so deafening, where it's like you can clearly tell that they have changed course for a fucking reason. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what if that reason is like a really bad thing? What if there's like shit about the universe and the world that like would really tip the scale for the human experience? But then I also think... Well, I also think... I had this chat with this lady who was driving us around in Wiesbaden, Germany. She was originally from America, a lady called Dana, very friendly, and she seemed open for conversation, and I always like to talk about these things. One thing that one conclusion that I reached that I said to her in that conversation was the following, that with humanity, we have been off course for quite some time, and we are in that phase, I feel. You know how in a relationship, the relationships ended a long time ago, but you're just holding on to it for dear life because you don't want the inconvenience of having to tell them that this is not working out, or having to, I don't know, move somewhere else, or you got kids together, or whatever it is.
Unfortunately, I know, yeah.
Yeah. Look, so do I, man. I've been there before. And I feel like the whole of humanity is in that phase right now. Like this, we're every day we're waking up and beating a dead horse. And part of that is because we're too scared. We are too afraid to face the alternative. We are too afraid to face the truth. And this idea that, let's not put this information out there about whether it's the UAPs or whether it's what's downstairs at the Vatican or whatever, or what burned down at the Library of Alexandria, some of which they might have actually preserved, who knows? Like stuff like that, and it's like there's always this whisper of they're not ready for it. People are not ready for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're not.
Yeah. But, we should be, like I think I have a feeling time's running out. I think we need to course correct. I think that the truth should be with the people. And instead of those who are sitting at the top holding on to all of the information, holding on to it with fucking dear life and doing everything possible just to keep people engaged and happy and just in their own little game that everyone's kind of stuck in, I think it's time for us to know the truth, personally.
Definitely. A long time ago, I reached the conclusion that we cannot save humanity as a whole. But what we can do instead is found a breakaway civilization. Buy land, put up some fucking solar panels, dig a well, start growing your own food, kill your own food, and, build a tribe of, friends and family. Mm-hmm. Because, like, I can't go and talk to my neighbors and tell them, like, money is fake. you are a willing slave to a system that wants you dead. They're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Are you gonna cut the grass? It's like, I think most people are beyond saving. Maybe that's just me being pessimistic. Hopefully it's just me being pessimistic and I will be proven wrong. But I think, and when I say save, that's in quotation marks. But there's they are beyond saving. What we have to do is, become fucking pirates. Let's go find some fucking. Let's build our own pedophile island for once. How about that?
This is something I've given a lot of thought to as well. And I think it's a natural response, actually, to when you realize how so much of what you deal with on a day-to-day basis is just fake. And we can even get into the idea of, let's talk about this for a second. By the way, just a little caveat there. The farm idea and solar panels sounds fucking amazing, but they'll soon track you using satellites and Google imaging and the AI and all the other stuff. So you actually can't be overground to have that community and tribe. Maybe there's another way, but overground ain't gonna be it. Not anymore. Okay.
This is why I'm pro-gun.
This is why what?
This is why I am pro-gun.
Pro-gun. Okay, yeah. Look.
Yeah. Dude, are you kidding me?
Fuck yeah. No, listen, I am pro Second Amendment too. I actually think guns suck. I wish they didn't exist, but they exist. And since they do, I think everyone should have access to them for that reason. And the reason for it is not to defend yourself against like an invading country or whatever. The reason for the Second Amendment is so you can fucking defend yourself against the fucking tyranny of your own government. Do you think, what do you think the US would have looked like 5 years ago if they weren't fucking scared shitless of the people who've got the guns? Can you imagine?
It's such a simple statistic exercise that you can do. Just, you look at the lockdown measures that were taken in each country, you compare them to just the statistics of private gun ownership, and you're going to see black on white, the states, like the individual states in the United States that have good gun laws, according to, crazy conspiracy theories like the two of us, they had way like less restrictions.
Yeah, that's
countries
beautiful.
Countries that have given up their guns, I think maybe there are some expectations. I mean, Sweden, I don't think they have a lot of guns, but there is a clear curve. They got some, but
yeah. I think they've got they've got their own communities. Because I remember when I was talking to Morgan from Marduk, he was telling me that, I don't know if I should talk about this, but he was saying that
it sounds like we should not go down that road on camera.
I won't go ahead with what I was about to say. Assuming he shared that with me in private, but nevertheless, this is one of those things, man. Like some of the best conversations you have happen to be off camera, and they should maybe stay that way for a reason. Nevertheless, this is still a good one to have on camera. This is the question I was going to ask you, Sturla. What are your thoughts about the idea that time itself is a man-made construct?
The way that we experience time is obviously a man-made construct, even if it's just accidental. Because, I mean, surprisingly or not, I'm not a physicist, but I like to keep up to date with, what ideas are floating around in modern physics. And there's this fucking quantum entanglement. Particles can have effect backwards in time. They can ripple out through time. Fucking trippy. But, totally. I mean, everything that we perceive is man-made. It might be a biologically speaking, man-made, or just like social matrix man-made. But totally. You can just see it, just the way that you experience the passing of time. If you're having fun, time goes by faster. If you're bored, time is slower. Like, everybody knows this, right? That's an example of biologically man-made perception of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess the example would be like, let's say, waking up every morning at, I don't know, like 6:30 and then going to work at a certain time and then having those routines and things, which, by the way, from a quality of life perspective, are actually quite valuable. You know, I think having a routine like that has its own value, but I think it's the idea, the time itself, the thing that, you know, we're constantly keeping an eye out on the clock, you know, like, is the clock itself programming us on a day-to-day basis? You know, that's the kind of my question.
That's something I haven't thought about, but when you say it, like, yeah, the clock is programming us. Like, you're at work, and now it's whatever o'clock, so you can go grab a cup of coffee, go out for a smoke, you know, jerk off in the bathroom, whatever. But you wouldn't do that 10 or 15 minutes earlier, right? You have to wait for the clock to say it's okay for you to fuck off.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just one example. Yeah. And like, you know, when you're in the gym, you're doing your cardio, the clock tells you when you're done, right? So, yeah, never thought about it, but my first impression is that, yeah, you're totally on the money right there. Like, the clock, dude. Actually, wow, man. Now I'm having like 5 different just ideas popping up in the back of my head just thinking about this. But like, you're drinking beer. Now it's 21:43 here in Reykjavik, and it's okay to have beer. It's almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Of course, you can have a beer. It's a Thursday night, but you wouldn't have that same beer at 9:43 a.m. because the clock tells you this isn't allowed. This is wrong. This is haram.
Yeah, but absolutely.
9:43 p.m. 2, 3, 4 beers, whatever. Totally fine.
It is. But I actually, so I'll take that a step further for you. You know, this is kind of the setup I was going for. I really like your take on that.
Bring it on.
The thing that I've been thinking about a lot is, well, when it comes to mythology, who is the god of time? It's Kronos. Which planet does Kronos represent? Saturn. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
BlackRock.
Yeah. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think that's I'll be a bit more specific as well, you know, and then when you start reading about ideas that we actually live inside the Saturn moon matrix, and also the fact that in order for this system to work is for us to acknowledge time in the way that it has been placed in front of us.
Yeah.
And we have to work within its confines. It's like a game. It's like a little simulation that's put together. And it's almost like the only way out is through. So you kind of have to play the game. It's a bit like Jumanji, you know, like you have to play the game to get to the end of it in order to make it through. But then there are multiple layers and multiple dimensions. And how are all of these affected by time? Now, why do I mention this? Because what's the antidote to time? As far as my life experience concerns, the one thing that I've interacted with that destroys time and the perception of it is psilocybin. And what is psilocybin? Well, it's fucking illegal. That's for sure. You know, so these are the kind of things that, well, this is the thing that I start to think about, you know, it's like, well, why is it illegal? Is it because, it's a mind altering substance? No, I think it's because it fucks with the game. I think it fucks with the matrix. And that's why a lot of people who maybe go a little bit too far outside the system they struggle coming back in. They struggle integrating, because for me, some of my own older psychedelic experiences took years to fucking finally be able to like make sense of it and then have, because I still live a very structured life. I'm a addict to routines, even though I didn't used to be. Yeah. And in terms of quality of life and thought process and everything, I understand that that's the game. You got to work with time. If you're a farmer, you can't harvest year round, but you also can't be planting seeds year round. Okay. There are multiple different steps to it. If you go in the gym and train nonstop, you're just gonna fucking fall apart. But if you subsequently, if you rest year round, you're also gonna fall apart. But if you go and train and then come back home and rest, then that's when you make progress. I think that progress is something that's interwoven into the matrix that we work with. And I think that its key factor is time. Time is the superpower of those who wish to rule the world. Hey, just a quick moment of your time. For the past 3 years, Iblis Manifestations has been entirely self-funded. This means that every subscription fee, every piece of equipment, all of the travel expenses have come out of my own pocket. Over time, people have asked me how they can support the podcast, and to be honest with you, up until now, the answer's been pretty straightforward, and that is simply spread the word. But now, there's another way. I have set up a Patreon account where followers of the podcast will be able to make monthly donations to the podcast, and this will help cover the costs of streaming gear and basically everything else that goes into making this show. This isn't about making a profit, and to be completely honest, it's not about breaking even either, because that's certainly not been the case for the last 3 years. However, if you do find value in the conversations that we're having on this podcast and wish to help them forward, then you can now support the show. Just head to the link in description and hit the Patreon button. In addition to that, be sure to check out the Iblis Manifestations Big Cartel page, where we will be selling exclusive merchandise for the podcast. At the moment, we got the Extreme Podcast for Extreme People t-shirts, limited to only 30 copies, and the pre-orders will be sent out from the 1st of July. So the link for that is in the description. And in the future, the Big Cartel page will also include some occult accessories and jewelry, which will be handcrafted by myself. And we will also be selling merch and records by other bands as Iblis will expand into a label of its own. And, of course, it goes without saying, thank you for supporting Iblis Manifestations. It is much appreciated. So,
yeah,
what's the antidote? Do you work with time, or do you simply break apart the rule of the world by disregarding time in the way that it's been constructed above us in the human experience? What are your thoughts?
If you think about it, if you would somehow be able to hack yourself outside of the three-dimensional space-time continuum, you would basically be a god. You know? If we, if you can control time like you're playing a video game with cheats on, then then you have all the cheats for the rest of the universe. Like, seen Groundhog Day? What, Bill Murray?
I haven't.
Where he wakes up. Okay, but it's like the premise is basically he's a journalist. He goes somewhere covering some groundhog shit, like you do. And the next day he wakes up and it's yesterday. And then he has to go through the same day again and again and again and again.
Right, got it, yep.
And like he learns like languages. He becomes a master player at the piano, blah, blah, blah. And finally he gets the girl. And because love conquers all, finally he gets to tomorrow. But imagine that. Like, if you could hack the three-dimensional space-time continuum and you could, for example, just relive today 500 times. You never have to worry about tomorrow. Imagine all the shit that you can accomplish. Imagine the improvement, like fitness and music, art, just, whatever. You could rule the fucking world.
Yeah, basically you could. I think it's, but I wonder, like, are there people who are currently doing a version of what you basically described? Maybe not specifically like all the angles like that, but living a variation of that, whilst the rest of us are feeding the system for them and creating that reality.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like you have.
And by the way, just to be clear, sorry, Sturla, sorry to interrupt you, and I just asked you a question. When I say something or someone, that someone that I'm referring to may not even necessarily be human. I'll also throw that out there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there is a species of spiders that the last I knew, scientists believed that they were reacting to things before they happened. So they had set up some cameras, that do like million frames per second or whatever. And here's the spider, and they're gonna slap it. But the spider reacts before the hand moves. Like before, because they can see it just like 1 million frames per second. The hand is still, and the spider reacts before the hand moves.
Interesting.
So, I mean, this may very well have been debunked since I heard about this the first time. I don't know. But
it would explain a lot about perhaps brainwaves, and there is also the idea that I heard that allegedly when you do enter a room where there is a spider present, you actually enter a different dimension. Don't know if you heard that one. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one. If I had heard that one, I would probably just dismiss it as some psychobabble.
Well, I had a very weird experience. I'll tell you a personal thing. See what you make of this one. Around 2012, midway through 2012, one night I was sat up in the dark, and I was just like watching. I think I was watching American Dad, actually, of all things. I remember.
Well,
I was
with all the time in the world, you still can't convince me to watch that garbage.
Yeah. Well, this was 2012, but
okay, fair enough.
I was just looking for some kind of comfort because it kind of sucked being so fresh away from my home. Yeah. That was way too deep of an anecdote there to add to that, but it's true. So here we are. And you know what happened, Sturla? It was really fucking fascinating. I still think back at this. I was lying there and I was looking at the screen, and the rest of the room was pitch black. And especially when you've got one bright screen in front of you, the rest of the room almost looks darker because your eyes are not adjusting to the rest of the room. They're focused on that light of the laptop screen or TV, whatever. I had a laptop in front of me. And I just there was something very weird and unnerving from my desk. Like it was behind the desk, but I could just about see it from where I was on the bed. And I kept looking at a spot like right behind the desk. I kept staring at a spot into the pitch black, but like as if I knew there was something there. And I was staring at it for like fucking 10 minutes. And I'm like, why do I keep looking at this? So and there was nothing I could see, but I just could feel that there's something there. So I switched the light on. And it is the fucking largest spider I have ever seen. And the thing was fucking green. It was a light green color. It was like a house. I think it was like a garden spider, but the thing was fucking massive. It was the size of my fucking boot. And and I knew it was there like before I could see it, Yeah. So I think there is something there, whether it's with the interactions of the brainwaves or whatever, So that doesn't surprise me when you then tell me that the spider knew that the person was going to hit it before the hand even moved, because maybe it's the brainwaves that they pick up or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's that's about as much as I can kind of make sense of that.
I mean, they traditionally we talk about like if you have some sort of higher sense, then you have like the sixth sense. Mm. But when you really break it down, like even if you have no like supernatural abilities, whatever you want to call it, like we have quite a few more senses than just, you know, those that we are taught. Like, for example, a sense of balance. That's never in the equation. Sense of direction. Because, like, I know it just from my own personal experience. Like, I've traveled a lot because I used to be in this band that used to travel a lot. And I always had like this, not always, a lot of the time. I'm in a new city. I've never been here before. I haven't even checked it out on Google Maps. Somehow I always know which direction is north.
Interesting.
So, I mean,
what do you mean when
you
you say that? Can you maybe go into a bit more detail with that? Maybe explore that a bit further. How do you always know which way is north?
It's just a feeling. It's okay. Like, that's the thing about these, I'm not going to call them supernatural or psychic, but something above the mundane, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you have this intuition, you get this gut feeling, right? Sorry. Feel some fucking strange noises in here.
What was that?
The bloom.
All right. Okay.
There's some electrical interference. Anyway, whatever. Cut that shit out. That was boring. Who gives a fuck? Anyway, like when you have these moments, when you have this extrasensory perception of the world around you, and then you try to put it into, you know, you try to explain it in a calm, like intellectual way, and it's just gonna be like, no, you're always gonna sound like some fucking retarded hippie. It's just, oh no, it's the vibe, man. It's a feeling, and I can't say it in any like smart way. It's just, I get out of the tour bus, I look around, and I'm like, that's north. I mean, that's actually south. North is behind me right now, but whatever. But yeah. You know what I mean? It's
I
just
see what you're saying. Interesting.
It's like when you do a lot of cocaine and you go into a new bar for the first time, you somehow always know who at the bar has more cocaine.
That's true. It
is true. You know it's true. It's not. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but it's not a joke. But
I don't think it's necessarily an appearance thing either. But it's like a gut feeling. You always know.
It's just a vibe, bro.
Just a vibe.
So maybe the spiders are just vibing really hard. But then we should also be conscious of the fact that spiders are, you know, in modern, post-modern fucking occultism, spiders are very much connected to the Cliffa of Lilith. You know, the first Cliffa on the night side tree. The initiation into the other side. And so, yeah, and like, I mean, spiders are badass. I mean, put that on my fucking gravestone. Just like, here lies Sturla, spiders are cool. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Spiders and octopuses as well.
I'm pretty sure octopuses are not from this planet anyway.
No. For real, son.
Yeah. And I know that sounds presumptuous how I say that, but you know, there's a number of things that do point to that direction, that their DNA is actually alien. But they say the same about marijuana as well, that the you know, it's from somewhere else. It you know, it originally comes from a different place. But you could even maybe say the same about people. I guess, you know, like how many things have actually flown down here instead of being originated here, you know. That's something I think about a lot, you know, like did we used to live on Mars before the atmosphere fucking gave out and we had to come down here and in the process lost everything, and that's where we became hunter-gatherers. You ever think about that?
I mean, yes and no, because you're missing, in my book, you're missing a whole chapter in between.
Which is
the pre-Younger Dryas period.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
So, which, you know, is a fucking trip, that whole fucking hypothesis. And yeah, I vibe with it, bro.
No,
Like
I vibe with it too. Yeah. With the spiders, yeah. It's interesting. You know what's funny? We're talking about spiders. I used to, you know, I know we're kind of just riffing, but like I used to be terrified of them. I used to be petrified of spiders before, yeah. Not anymore. I'm like totally cool with them now. But what kind of started it off is two things. One is back in 2014, I was on LSD and I was stood outside. This is when I was in Walsall in West Midlands. It's between Birmingham and Wolverhampton. It's a shithole, but you know, I spent there a few years of my life there, you know, so I look at it fondly for that reason, because it was a very transformative period for my mind. And I was there, and I remember seeing this spider whilst I was tripping, and I was kind of going in and out of different dimensions. It was really intense. And then, like, it dawned on me that this little spider here is alive and is just trying to survive the same way that I am. Yeah. And then from there on, I kind of started thinking about them a bit differently, but the fear never truly went away until a few years later, where for the first time, I actually made an attempt to save one. And once I saved it, all the fear went away, and then my perception of spiders as a whole completely changed, you know. But I also think that, now this sounds a little batshit crazy, but I have, to me it rings very true. Bring that shit on. I'll bring it on, baby. But to me, I feel like as a person, you can have a relationship with different species and races of things, or not just humans, but like of other species, you know. Absolutely. I think you can have a relationship because that one animal or two that you interact with are still an extension of a lineage of a specific spirit and being that they're, you know, that spawned them, basically, that gave them those characteristics. Yeah. I think you can have a relationship with that in this life, which is really interesting.
Yeah, totally, man. It's like you have endless examples of exactly this happening with people and, you know, various animals. Like, I have a friend that had a lizard. What's it called? Iguana or something?
Iguana, yeah.
Not exactly what we think about when we think about like cuddly pets, you know.
No, yeah.
But they had like a really beautiful relationship together, you know. Which shouldn't make sense because iguanas are cold-blooded fucking lizards, you know.
Yeah.
But they did, and I mean, I mean, there's no punchline here except for I agree.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was talking to my partner about this. You know, the relationship that I have with my cats, like whatever they are, they might not be as like smart as humans or whatever, but they definitely understand some of the same things, and one of them is love. Like, I know that they understand love, you know, like just as well as anything. They, you know, and I think it's actually, you know, on one hand, it's wholesome and it's lovely as fuck. But on the other hand, it's actually really interesting. It's fascinating. It's like, oh, wow, you get that too? You know, like sometimes when my cat comes up to me, I'm like, you really get this. Like, I feel this for real. This is not just, you're not coming to me just for food. This is like this is next level. We are like fully bonding right now. That's so fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a great feeling, by the way, when you know that you can make something else feel safe. You know, that's awesome. You know?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that also like the most traditional masculine quality is to provide and keep your loved ones safe?
Yeah, it is. It is.
But spiders, man.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the fucking rainbow shrimp?
What's that?
That's some fucking sci-fi shit. Like, this is fucking alien. Like, first of all, do you know how, like, the eye itself is constructed? We have 3 cones inside of each of our eyes that detect, I want to say it's red, blue, and yellow. I could be wrong. And everything that we see is a mixture from these 3 cones, right?
Right.
And I think it's about, I don't know, let's say 1,000 colors. So that each cone can get like 1,000 shades of yellow, just for example.
Yeah.
So the total number is, fuck, man. I never learned math in fucking English. Like, when you have a number, then you have the small numbers. It's like the power of 3, is it called?
Oh,
like
yeah. I understand what you're referring to. Yeah. Okay.
So if you have 3 color cones in your eyes, then you are going to be perceiving 1,000 by the power of 3 many colors. Okay. And then there are some women, they never know this while they're alive. Like, this is just something that has been discovered in recent times during autopsies, because in order to see this, you literally have to cut their eyes open. And some women have 4 cones of color. So now they are seeing 1,000 by the power of 4 many colors. And they don't know it. They have no idea that they're perceiving this many more colors than most other people. And, you know, being colorblind is mostly a male problem. Really rare that women are colorblind. The rainbow shrimp has 16 cones in their eyes. So while we are seeing 1,000 by the power of 3, they are seeing 1,000 by the power of 16 colors.
Wow.
Like, what the fuck is that? That must mean that they are seeing infrared light, ultraviolet light, and then 14 other things that I don't even know what to call as colors. Just like, here's a blue can or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's no punchline here at all. I just think that's fucking fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating because, you know, even if you just want to bring it back down to amongst human beings, you know, like you had those pictures going around social media like 10, 15 years ago. Don't know if people remember this, but like, you know, it was like a photo of like a dress. And then some people would see a yellow dress, some people would see a blue dress. And it's like, wait, how the fuck is that happening, you know? I think that kind of stuff is very interesting. And, you know, we can say for sure, without question, that our perception of the world around us is extremely limited. Like Wi-Fi signals, you can't see it with your eyes, but it's fucking there. Signals, anything.
Okay, 2 points. First of all, the amount of ghost stories that we hear have decreased dramatically the more electric signals we have in the atmosphere around us.
Why do I feel like that's a terrible thing?
I mean, that's fucking fodder for a fucking conspiracy, and if not a conspiracy, then at least a movie script, and I would be willing to go and see that movie.
Well,
we're making the Wi-Fi to kill the ghosts. Fuck yeah, let's go, man.
You know, when I had, because I was never really a believer of the paranormal until it fucking happened to me, and I was like, oh, hang on, this is something else. This is something it's not just down to the fact that whether you believe in it or not, it's already there. You know, it's just a frequency, and then it actually feeds off of you as well. And
absolutely,
I'll also share it. Yeah,
can I
go on.
bring my second point?
We got time? Yeah, of course, man. Of course. Tell us your second point.
Time doesn't exist. Time is an illusion. We are gods.
We broke it. There we go. Carry on.
Fuck yeah.
We're officially free right now.
That's gonna do fucking great for your YouTube ad revenue. It's like, how long is the video? It's an endless cycle upon cycle within cycles. My second point is the electromagnetic spectrum. So, all light that we perceive are certain vibrations on the electromagnetic spectrum. The same goes for everything that we hear. It's just like, what's a good thing? Hashtag sponsored. So this is the entire spectrum right here.
All right.
And the light that this is a horrible, no, here's white. Okay, fuck it. Great. Fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy over here. So
for people who are watching on YouTube, Sturla is demonstrating this
doing
thing
arts and crafts.
Yeah.
So this is the entire electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah.
All light, all audio are part of that spectrum. But all light that we see, in the grand scheme of this, is approximately one line. This is the light on the electromagnetic spectrum that we perceive. Mm-hmm. Then I want to say it's lower frequencies that become audio rather than light. And that's the same. So we see those two lines out of the entire spectrum. You know, what else is there? There's infrared light, there's ultraviolet light, there's, infrasound waves, which are sound waves that are too low that we can't hear them, like dogs can hear some of them. And, whatever, other blah, blah, blah. But the point is that we're perceiving the same spectrum through two of our main senses, biological instruments of perceiving the world around us. But we are only perceiving a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole.
Indeed.
Of course, you can feel like infrared light on your skin. Or, I do yoga in infrared light. It's
cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cool. It's really hard to be my age with my bald head and beer gut and it's cool that I do yoga.
It's actually great for you. Yoga is great, and it's a lot harder than people realize. It gets a bad name. Partially, I think, thanks to Nurgle, but jokes aside, I think it's good, especially the fact that you do it in infrared light. So infrared lights actually are very good because they concentrate the collagen in the skin, so that's something that's actually very good for you, and it can help you feel and look younger as well. And it
helps with a lot of growth, and not just in us. Like, you can see it in greenhouses.
Yeah.
When fucking chicken eggs hatch, they take the little chicks and keep them in infrared light as well. Like, there is power in this infrared light.
There absolutely is. But then again, going back to your point, our perception once again is very limited, and you did a great job of visualizing that, like, as to what it actually looks like in terms of like how truly limited those those perceptions are. One thing I can say though, you mentioned about the electricity and all of these waves and the different signals and the kind of like the signal pollution that we live in, which is a fucking nightmare, by the way. I think that's going to be extremely difficult to navigate when someone passes away. That's a bit of a crazy one, but I genuinely worry about that sometimes. Going back to it, my personal experience, I have still, like those paranormal experiences that I had, where obviously they were in the modern world, so actually, and interestingly enough, Sturla, I don't know if I ever told you this, but so it all started when me and my ex-partner moved to this flat in Birmingham. And it was like the attic of an old Victorian house that they had converted. And up until that, I had some experiences that I kind of I think repressed and pushed out of my mind that later kind of all started coming back to me that, oh yeah, shit, when I was a kid, I actually saw a demon and, all of these different things that kind of happen, which I'm happy to talk about here. But, the interesting thing was that whatever was in that flat or in that attic, I say whatever, not whoever, because sometimes I even question if it was actually a human or if it was something that was communicating through one's human spirit. I don't know, because I genuinely feel like it was maybe a demonic spirit of some sorts, but because I had nights there where I went to sleep and when I closed my eyes, I could see its face. And it was like a purple face that looked sort of disheveled and angry at me. And then when I opened my eyes, it was just a room. But when I closed my eyes, I could see its face staring at me. And you could feel the presence. We actually caught, I never talked about this part on the podcast when I talked about it before. We actually, me and my ex-partner, we found this little snippet of a video where I was videoing the flat, and it looks like there's this black shadowing thing stood on top of the bed of where we used to stay at, how as I just said that, my light here fucking lit up. But it was really interesting because that thing would come and stand above me and hover at night, and I could feel its weight. And it was that thing that when I closed my eyes, I think I could see its face, and it was a purple face, which, by the way, I then later commissioned to have on the very first TRIVAX album, Sin. The purple face that you see on the album cover is the face of that thing. I tried to explain it to the guy without telling him what it was, and he actually did a good job. The difference is, on the album cover, the face on the first TRIVAX album, Sin, is smiling. When what I was seeing, that thing was not smiling because it was not happy with me for whatever reason. And I think I know why it was. But going back into it, every time we left the flat, it switched off all of the electricity. Right? I'll elaborate further. So we had a fuse box.
Please.
We had a fuse box. I shit you not, Sturla. Every time you left the building, the fuse box would switch itself off. And it didn't matter if you left for 5 minutes or 5 hours, it would always switch itself off. But it would never happen whilst you were in there. Right? And I think it interfered with electricity. And I think that these spirits and these things do interfere with electricity. And I also heard something's voice talking on the very last day that we were there. It sounded like a woman, but then it sounded like gibberish. It was very weird. It was this sound that sounded like it was coming out of a...
That's funny you say that. That's usually what I hear when I'm listening to women.
Well played. But it was weird because it just sounded incoherent, just kind of it was like a sentence. It was just and then that was it. There was And then I turned around to her. I said, did you just fucking hear that? She was like, yeah, we need to get the fuck out of here. And
so your partner was also...
Yeah, we both heard it, bro.
Like,
I remember I was wearing my jeans and I was like quite chubby at the time. So I had like one leg through the jeans and I'm pulling it up. And then I hear this like voice like going, I'm like, I look at her and I'm just like silent there for like maybe 10 seconds. And then I said, did you fucking hear that? She was like, yeah, we need to get out of here. We need to leave right now. So we did. And then it was fucked up because after we left, Sturla, like my phone was going crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so like I was like holding out my phone at this pub. We went to this pub in Birmingham. It's called the Square Peg, but it's actually Wetherspoons. It's in Sutton Coldfield. People can go look on the map. They know where the pub is. And,
I love how you're saying these names like I have any idea where anything is except for London.
Yeah, it's that's cool. I'm just saying that the reference is there if anyone's curious enough to look on like Google Maps or even like go there in person. Bro. But I'm there in the pub, Sturla, like I hold out my phone like this, right? I'm holding it and the screen is fucking going mental. Like it's going through different apps and then it's just like the screen's like scrolling up and down on its own. I'm holding my phone. I'm like, what the fuck is this? There's like all kinds of weird shit happening. But again, to the point that the spirit realm, whatever, if you want to call it that, I think it's the same realm that we're already in. But that dimension seems to interfere and interact with electricity all the fucking time. And I'm fascinated by that. But then that's why also I become extremely fucking paranoid when I see China building the world's largest quantum computers and things like that. That kind of stuff makes me really uncomfortable. Really fucking uncomfortable.
I get paranoid every time I see China doing anything.
Well, that's also true. Yeah, sure, I hear that. Yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of paranoia, I gotta piss.
That sounds good. No problem.
Raid Shadow Legends.
We'll take a quick break.
Hola.
Hey.
I just had a vivid flashback from our last episode in Spain when I went to take a piss there as well. And then I realized that I'm all mic'd up. And I'm like, fuck. Does he have like audio recordings of me pissing now? It's like, is this the new Epstein list or is this a new Nattefrost album?
Yeah, Nattefrost, fucking hell. He approached me when I was at Beyond the Gates. He just like ran
That's
up to me.
That's when you call an adult, man.
Yeah. He just came up to me out of nowhere. He was like, hey. I was like, hey man, what's up? He was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were someone else. I was like, okay. He by the way, I think, I don't know him personally. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who knows him personally, but I think he needs serious professional help. So whoever's close to him, just keep an eye out on that guy. I think, like, I get that it's his gimmick, but, that's going to kill him. All right. So.
Hey, man, if you are a fucked up person and you're making fucked up art and you being fucked up is going to lead to your death. Like,
I have a hard time to believe that you're going to find any sort of fulfillment or happiness in a 9-to-5 matrix.
Yeah, that's true. But you can find freedom without necessarily like destroying yourself in the process either. Maybe you'll destroy your ego, but that's a different thing to actually physically like annihilating yourself any day. But by the way, I don't want to get off track because I got something here for you. I prepared this. I cooked this special up for you. Okay, so around 3rd of December, I was having a conversation with my friend, and I'll read out the numbers. See what you think. So I have a friend, Surush, from. He's also from Tehran, Iran, where I'm from. He lives in Australia. I think he's actually a big fan of yours, as far as I know, by the way.
It's like, how big are we talking?
Yeah. So him and I were talking about this, and he sent me this thing that was really interesting. And we were talking about time and timings of things. This caught my
just because you're going to say numbers, I'm going to have a pen and paper ready. Yeah.
Get your pen and paper ready. Okay. I think I can make the point without you writing anything down, but you can do it anyway if you want. Okay. And even
I just learned how to do it, actually.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Really?
Yeah, I tried really hard.
Nice. Well done to you. You get like a Spider-Man sticker for that. But
Spider-Man.
but here, check this out. This is really interesting. So we're talking about timing and things like that. So this I'm just going to read this out. So every year that adds up to the number 9 has had major wars in it. Okay. So actually, him and I were talking about this. I said 3rd of September. We were talking about it in August. I just sent it to someone else on the 3rd of September. So he says, every year that adds up to the number 9 has had major wars in it. Next month, we'll have triple 9s together. So you've got 9th of September, 2025. That's 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. So that's triple 9. Yeah. Which, by the way, that was like 2 or 3 days, I think, before the Charlie Kirk assassination occurred, right? Which was like almost to the point of the anniversary of 9/11, which we can get into that if you like. But just to kind of back it up.
I tried to reclaim 9/11 from my own personal narcissistic bullshit now, but yeah. Let's keep going.
We will keep going. So years with a sum of 9 and their major wars. No year with a sum of 9 has ever been without war. So starting with the first one, 1827. Sum 1 plus 8 plus 2 plus 7 equals 18. Okay, which is 1 plus 8 equals 9. So that's the Greek War of Independence, Battle of Navarro. And that was in 1827, was a turning point that accelerated Greece's independence from the Ottoman Empire. Next one, 1836, 1 plus 8 plus 3 plus 6 equals 18, which again is a sum of 9. That was the Russia-Persian wars in the Caucasus were also ongoing around this time. And then the next one, you've got the Texas-Mexico War, the famous Battle of the Alamo in February to March 1836. Local uprisings in Spain, which were called the Carlist Wars. And then that's in 1845, 1 plus 8 plus 5 plus 5 equals 18, which again is a sum of 9, and then the list actually goes on and 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 on. There's like fucking loads of them, and then there's also obviously 1935. Tribal revolts against colonialism in the Middle East. 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 5 equals 18, which again is a sum of 9. So that seems to be a thing there. It was interesting to me that we were talking about that in August, And then right around the time that happened, it was and then like a month later, it was the Charlie Kirk assassination. Okay.
And what happened 3 hours after Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck?
What happened?
3 hours after Charlie Kirk got shot, the U.S. Senate blocked the release of the Epstein files.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
3 hours. Which, if you're keeping track, 3 times 3 is
9.
9. So, yeah. Okay, so I have actually 3 points about this. 2 of them are about how familiar are you with Robert Anton Wilson?
Not familiar at all, so please enlighten me.
Okay, well, he's a really interesting counterculture figure of the 20th century, chaos magician.
Mm-hmm.
He had this practice, I would say, rather than system, which is when you are practicing magic and the universe starts to respond. So you keep a track of all the synchronicities. And you do that for a week, let's say a week. And the next week, you don't do any magic, but you keep track of this shit. And once you've done a week of both, you compare it. Are those coincidences? Are these synchronicities? Mm-hmm. You know, because this is the folly of the magician, is that we tend to believe our own bullshit too much. We don't take a step back and like, maybe the universe wasn't talking to me. Maybe the bus was just late. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, not to interrupt, but the universe is always talking to us. We're just not listening.
Of course, that is extremely true.
Yes, but
and I mean that extremely true.
It is.
So this is one thing. Like, in this situation, let's find a random number. What's a number that's not like cool or mystic? 4. 4 is a really boring number. Like 9 is like, it's holy, like Inanna goes through 9 gates. The Norse faith has 9 worlds on the Tree of Life, etc., etc. Every number that is divisible by 3 is usually a magical number.
Yeah.
4, I mean, yeah, sure, we got the 4 elements. 4 is related to Jupiter. But all in all, it's a boring number. It's not dramatic like 9 or 3. Do the same exercise with this. And then try, can you find these correspondences with the number 8? Because we also have to realize in this particular thing is that how many years have there been in recorded history where we don't have any major wars?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's the ego trap of the magician. Like, okay, I found something. It's interesting. It has to be true. And I'm not saying what you're saying is bullshit. Don't get me wrong. I just, we have to be scientific about magic, because otherwise we're just hippies and we're just vibing with the spiders, bro.
No, I hear you on that. I am of the same thought of skepticism. That's why I threw that at you, because, we do recognize patterns, hopefully, like pattern recognition is a thing, but like how much is the pattern that you're recognizing at the behest of you ignoring other things around it, so that's always a possibility. I hear you on that.
Yeah. So those were actually the first 2 points. It's like, find the number that's not dramatic or magical, like 9, and see if you can get similar results from doing the same formulas. Another thing about numerology, and like, I believe in the power of numbers. Numbers are powerful, and they carry more power than our mundane conscious mind is willing to admit on a Wednesday, you know? With numerology, you can, with enough finesse, you can basically reach any conclusion about whatever, whenever. Because, like you're saying, like, okay, you take this number and you add it to this and this and this, and it's 9. You take this number and then you divide it by 2, and then you get 9. You know, it's like we can always find some mathematical way to maneuver around the conclusion if you already decided the conclusion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the magician's folly. But numerology has a lot of power in it, don't get me wrong. But we are also able to bend numbers, and we can, in this formula, we are dividing the numbers. In this one, we are multiplying them, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And turns out that especially when you like add up numbers and dates and shit, you only have 9 possible results, because it's gonna be any number from 1 to 9, and there are quite a few more numbers than just 9 numbers in this world. But it's still interesting though. But like I think you know what I mean. It's like just because you find the formula and it works, we have to also approach it from the skeptical side.
Yeah, and I very much like that. I think that approach is a necessity, because I do also agree that there's a lot of people that kind of take stuff and kind of just run with it. Yeah. My thing is more just so you understand, Sturla, I think you already know my thought process, but just to clarify, my thing is when I see something, I no longer just dismiss it, you know? And I think that's already a step in the right direction. I think everyone could benefit from that.
Absolutely. And it's also, if you open your mind to magical conclusions, the world just becomes more magical as a result. Because reality is perception, and perception is reality, you know? If you perceive something, then it's real to you. It might not be real to me. What I perceive might not be real to you, but on some metaphysical level or another, it's real. Right?
This is true. But also, if we are the branches of the same tree, then what's real for one of us will be real for the other too. No?
Maybe. I mean,
you know how I was talking earlier about like how we can have our own relationship with different animals, and then by connecting to that animal, it's as if you're connected to their entire lineage. What if that's the same for us as well?
Yeah, I'm totally up for buying that, actually. Because
why is it that when you're a kid walking around like a carpet with a pattern, you think that you're jumping on stones and that the in-between is lava? That lava thing is in all of our DNAs. Where does that come from? You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Like, I mean, I've been around lava more than a lot of people. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Running, dude, I can send you videos after this. Like, when I went up to some eruption, and it's like, it's fucked up. You'll see it on the video, but like, I start with my fucking shoe and then just tilt the camera up, and it's like 2 meters from my fucking shoe to the running lava.
Crazy.
But if I took half a step further, I could start to feel my eyebrows just sizzling. And anybody that has ever smelled burning hair, they know, like, when you smell that, like, you're not imagining that. That's fucking foul. But that was not the point that I wanted to make at all. But true. Like, I was a grown-ass man when I was around lava for the first time. Like, I remember doing exactly this, what you were talking about, as a kid. but I had never been around lava. I didn't really have any understanding of lava as well. But there is something to be said about the universal subconscious of mankind.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to get to, because, when you're a child, I always used to think, I thought it was just me as a kid, like I remember we had this massive sort of rug in our living room that had all these patterns on it. And I always used to jump on the patterns and pretend that what was in between was the lava. Then I remember years later, like seeing the same thing in like Western stuff from like America, where people are like, oh yeah, if jump around this, if you miss the platform, the rest of it is lava, then you're dead. And I'm like, oh, how the fuck were they thinking the same thing? And then with me, I start looking back at, well, okay, that's an ancient DNA memory. When kids draw on the ground with chalks these little squares and they're jumping or whatever, maybe that's the translation of an ancestral memory of maybe our ancient grandparents actually had to jump on actual rocks to survive lava, because otherwise they would have fucking died. And it's the fact that they successfully made it past that they were able to conceive and then have us, and then here we are. That's kind of where I go to with that. So that and based on that, I'm also thinking, if one of us can imagine a certain outcome or a certain sphere or dimension, that's got to be accessible to the rest of us, at least to some extent. That's where I was going to. Yeah, that's where I was going to. If you can, basically, in short, if you can imagine it, it's fucking real. That's what I was saying.
Absolutely. And even if it's not real in the physical 3D space-time continuum, then it's still real on some metaphysical level.
Okay, so hang on. Okay, that's really interesting. But okay, what is that then? So there's different layers to being real. What if the idea, even if someone who is alive, okay, so you can say someone who's alive is real, right? Okay. Well, what if that life itself is a manifestation of something else that's deeper? The idea that man was made in the image of God. What if that is a manifestation? Okay, then there's only simply just different levels to it then, isn't there? It's the same thing after all.
Yeah, I mean, what is God?
Well, that's it. That then again is a different topic, but in conjunction with this particular conversation, then that is the force of life manifesting itself into this world.
I would personally say that God is the universe.
Okay.
Everything that is alive and everything that exists is a product of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing before God. There is nothing before the universe. Right? Does it make sense to you?
It absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
When the universe is talking and you hear it, you are literally speaking to God.
Yeah.
And this, I'm not talking about God in a biblical sense or, anything like this.
But I think even then, if I want to play the devil's advocate, or actually God's advocate, that's just a variation of the same thing then, isn't it?
Could be. Depends on where you're approaching it from, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for the longest time, just to change the subject a tiny bit, for the longest time, when they say that man was created in the image of God, that brings up images of genetic modification and sorry, it's been plugged in this whole time. What the okay, whatever. If I go blackout, it's the computer. I got a 15% warning, but when I do like this, it's 93, and what number is 93?
Ah.
You what, the wild motherfucker?
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. The universe is speaking through my cell phone right now.
Right.
I mean, that's a comforting thought.
Yeah. Or is that just the magician's ego,
Folly.
like you said earlier?
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
But the thing is, what if both are true at the same time? What if both are true at the same time?
Yeah, and it's also, truth doesn't have to be binary. Like, you have this page right here, and this is true. It doesn't mean that this is true or that this is true. A part of it is true, maybe the rest is bullshit. You know what I mean? This also... sorry?
Not on that one. I didn't get that one at all.
That's good. That's good.
I didn't understand that analogy at all, man.
I'm just saying that you can find pieces of truth within bullshit, just like you can find bullshit within truth. Okay.
Well, I get the idea of it of the truth being non-binary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, and to take it down from the metaphysical plane down to the mundane, it's this is political discourse today. It's like everything has to be binary. Oh, you like this one thing that Trump did, you must be a fucking corporate fascist. Oh, you like this thing that Biden did, you must be a fucking commie. I think
I hate that shit.
Bad people can't do good stuff. Good people can't do bad stuff.
Well, the way I look at it is that humans are vessels of both good and evil. That can traverse through each individual. At any moment in time, you can fall in and out of enlightenment.
You asked if time is a man-made construct. Like, is good and evil not a man-made construct?
I don't think so.
No?
No. I think that, I guess in a way it could be. I think good and evil is more so a man-made condition rather than a construct. And I actually would go as far as saying it's a spiritual construct.
Okay, but it's a construct.
Yes, but it's not something that we came and sat down and had to say, well, this is good, this is bad. And I know that people will dispute this and say that, in certain cultures, some things are okay, and then in other cultures, the same thing is a terrible thing. I get that, but I do believe that there is a universal good and evil, which the best I ever saw it described was in the context of Zoroastrianism.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would say so. That's my worldview. That's how I look at the blueprint of life.
What's the punchline then?
Well, the punchline is that the greatest trick the punchline is that the famous saying that the greatest trick the devil pulled is to convince people he doesn't exist.
That's true, but that's not Zoroastrian. I'm asking, what is the Zoroastrian...
okay. So, that punchline. Yeah, so you're asking me about how Zoroastrianism works. Well, it's the idea that there is a constant battle between good and evil. Okay, you've got Ahura Mazda, and then you've got...
Ashima?
You've got Ahriman, exactly.
Yeah.
Or rather, Angramanyu is the kind of the more traditional name to it, but it's the same thing. Ahriman is more like a figure that represents Angramanyu, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think so Angramanyu is more like the force, and Ahriman is the figure.
Yeah. Look at it like this. The Ahura Mazda is the creator and the force of the creator. So you could say that's the Jedi side. And Angramanyu is the dark force, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the empire. That's how you can kind of look at it.
Okay.
Right.
Dark isn't evil. Just like when we go to the gym, our muscles don't grow in the gym. They grow when we go back home, turn off the lights, and go to sleep. It's the same is true with plants. They grow in the darkness.
Well, you know, this is okay. I get that. The dark force that I was referring to the definition
More
of dark
evil.
in well, actually, specifically in Star Wars terms, which is evil. You know, it's like, you know, the dark side. That's what I was referring to.
I'm a fucking nerd. I hate Star Wars.
Okay, all right. So the reference was lost. Yeah, that's fine. Nevertheless, I think I'm that's fair. By the way, that's fucking shameful. I can't believe you said that. But you know, to each their own, man. All good. But
hey, I mean, the hero's journey is a classic for a reason. But I will say it again. You can find good stuff and bad shit. There's some good stuff in Star Wars. I think. I mean, I loved it when I was a kid, but when I watched it as a grown-up man, I'm like, what the fuck is this Chewbacca guy? Can you please get him off the fucking screen? But, you know, whatever. Fuck Star Wars. Let's go with the other thing.
Yeah. So the point I was trying to make. So our conversation is on the topic of good and evil right now. And you're asking me about Zoroastrianism and how that good and evil is defined, you know, because I think that a lot of people, believe that, there's no such thing as good and evil. And for me personally, the older I'm getting, I actually think it is a thing. And I actually think it's quite an obvious thing, to the point that now in my worldview, when I look out and when I look at the news or what I see on social media or where I look around me, it's very fucking obvious to me that we are in the midst of a spiritual warfare that is
Definitely.
of a good and evil nature, you know.
Yeah, but both sides outside of ourselves are fucking evil, in my opinion.
Would you do you think so? Like, what do you mean by that when you say that?
I mean, when we talk about the two sides, it's usually the modern left and the modern right, and the thing was warning me about my headphones. It's the headphones that are running out of battery. God damn it. Well,
that's easy enough. That's not gonna stop us.
I'm a motherfucking pimp, yo.
Yeah. Love it.
So, you know, when we talk about the two sides today, it usually refers to the modern right and the modern left. I think both of them are evil.
So well, bro, of course, I fucking hear that. You already know I am of that school of thought. When I say that there's a spiritual warfare between good and evil, I'm not referring to the left and the right, because as far as I'm concerned, the political constructs of left wing and right wing serve the same entity regardless. And there's I think there's
100%.
You know, especially within the political construct. Now, you can talk about having right-wing or having left-wing values as a human being or an individual. That doesn't always necessarily mean that that's going to be aligned with the political party that's representing those fucking things. No fucking way, bro. That's not how this works. And it's not, and you know, for the intents of control, that shouldn't be, it isn't be how it's going to be working. The point I'm trying to make is that I think there are things that influence our world that do not want our best interest as humans. And I am pretty fucking severely convinced at this point that those things are not even human of nature to begin with. I think it's the true essence of evil. I think that the devil on the shoulder is a real fucking thing, you know? And if you look at the concept of sinning, we talked about this briefly before, but the idea of sinning and the idea of hamartia is about missing the point. So the sinning isn't like doing something like shitty or terrible, but it's missing the point, and the point being your truest potential for fucking greatness. So every time you misfire and you hit the sidewall instead of a bullseye, that's essentially sinning. You're straying away from your own greatness. And to me, that is the battle of good and evil. And that's something that is actually very quite obvious to me when I look at the world today.
I really like that last part that you said. That the waste of potential is the great sin.
Well, it is. Yeah, of course.
I agree. I really
because
like it.
think of it like this. I'll conceptualize it a bit more in detail of how it interferes with day-to-day life rather than just a philosophy. If you think about the fact that you wake up every day and then you gotta eat food, and that food that you ate, had to come from somewhere. So you're taking from the earth constantly, you're taking from your surroundings constantly, just so you can live and serve a function. And when instead you choose to fucking sit on your ass and jerk off to OnlyFans and eat takeaway food, that to me is sinning. That to me is you missing your potential, and it's a hypothetical example, of course. But my point is that the pursuit of greatness that's the noble thing to do. That's the pursuit of good, the pursuit of greatness and the truth. And anything that's not that, or that is like slightly to the side, is in a way essentially sinning. And in a way, that's where evil gets to manifest itself. Evil is the thing that is the voice that at the back of your head when you know you got work to do, when you know you need to go to the gym, saying to you, no, come on, have another rest day, just chill out. Oh, you've already been doing it. That to me is evil. I'm listening to it and acting upon it, thinking no one's watching you, thinking that you can get away with doing shitty things. That's evil. That's evil literally manifesting itself in our actions. So that's how I arrive at that conclusion. It's pretty obvious to me, actually.
This
but
reminds me
took me some time to get there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with this part of what you're saying. And it reminds me of... there is this goetic demon called Lucifuke, which I'm probably slaughtering the fucking pronunciation of. But, Lucifer, obviously the light bringer, but this is Lucifuke, which means they hide from the light.
Right.
And this demon, he hides from the light because if the light falls on him, he will cease to exist. And this is, I see a metaphor, I see a direct analogy here between what you are saying, because this demon can only exist if you don't go out, if you only stay in and jerk off to OnlyFans and eat fucking takeaway, and you don't venture into the light. And by the light, I mean, you face life outside of the comfort of your own home and your pizza boxes and fucking feet pics on OnlyFans. You get what I mean?
You got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Here we have 2,000-3,000-year-old Hebrew scripture describing exactly this demonic behavior of the fucking basement dwelling loser. Because that is demonic in a way. And this is something like, apart from what you were saying, but like this thing about things being demonic or evil or whatever is something that I've been struggling with just personally on a ideological level. Is that I don't want people to do evil shit. Brave take, I know. But at the same time, I have a lot of belief in the power of transgression, of breaking taboos, of limit experiences. You know what I mean?
Can you make an example?
Of personal transgression that is powerful and can bring you a lot of benefits. Well,
look at yourself. You come from fucking Tehran. Now you have a platform, an audience that is, based upon you breaking the taboos that you grew up with. No?
Interesting.
So, like, there is this socially reinforced matrix that we all live in. In Tehran, obviously there's the fucking, what you call theocracy?
Theocracy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And, but there's also a social matrix in Birmingham. It's going to be different. There's another one in Reykjavik, and that's different from the one in Birmingham. And there is power of breaking the taboos, of going against the river, because all rivers flow to the ocean, which we can also be poetic, and, that's describing the right-handed path. The river runs through into the ocean and joins the collective universal ocean or consciousness. But the magician on a left-handed path, he will go upstream, away from the ocean, into the source. And, anybody, I had a really, liberal, I mean that in a cool sense, not in the modern sense. Liberal parents, but I think anybody who has grown up in a repressive, conservative household, especially if they're watching the two of us talking shit, then they also know the power of transgression. Of saying, fuck the rules, I'm gonna do my own shit. Like, name me 3 artists, great, not just generational artists, but just like world history defining artists that became great by following the rules and not breaking the taboo.
Absolutely,
And art is magic. There's a reason, like we touched upon and the last time, like there's a reason why in the pre-Christian pantheistic religions, the gods of magic are the gods of poetry and art. And they are usually transgressive as fuck as well. For example, in the Norse faith, we have Odin. And I don't know, like, if you ever, like, delved into that literature, but in the Poetic Eddas, there is... in Völuspá, or is it Havamál? Anyway, in one of the Eddas or whatever, like, the trickster god Loki literally calls Odin, Wotan. He calls him a faggot because he practiced sorcery. Because sorcery was only supposed to be practiced by women. Men go to war, women do sorcery. Odin, Allfather, which is, I think, a later title. Poetic Eddas are written in the 1200s, so it's like Christian time. But you see what I'm saying?
I understand where you're going with it. Yeah.
Like my culture, we have the tradition of the highest god breaking taboos to become more powerful. This is also true on a personal level. Look at yourself. I mean, and myself as well. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Svartidauði would never have been worth mentioning if we just did what everybody else did, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to... And this also comes back to what we started the show with. Most people don't care about freedom. They care about
comfort and they care about safety. So they don't have to transgress shit. Just, wake up tomorrow, go to your serious dead-end job and pay your taxes, and then go home to your wife and don't have sex with her because you're too full of fucking disgusting carbs and watching Netflix. Instead, those people, they don't have to transgress. They can just keep on living their lives. I don't give a fuck. But for the rest of us, transgression is a sacrament, really.
I think that's very beautifully put. We do share the same thought on that. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. I think you made very good examples there. What I will say is like the little nice fucking cherry on top for you is I believe in that transgression that you talk about wholeheartedly. I think it's an essential of the human experience. I think we all need to go through that in our own journeys, and anyone who doesn't, it's almost like I wonder, like, is that are you even living? And it's not transgression for the sake of it either. But I'll tell you this. It's interesting because I think that intent matters, but also why? Because transgression is not evil as far as I'm concerned. No. In fact, I think many of those taboos could be the root of evil because they're stood in the way of the truth. And sometimes you might need to fuck up before you find out. And I think that that's why then there should also be room for forgiveness and for someone to repent in their own life. And I'm not speaking strictly like off of a Christian basis, but for me, I had to repel all of the Islamic ideology that was around me just so that I could go and find my own identity. And after the fact, then I am able to turn around and say, well, okay, I'm no longer going to be drinking. I'm no longer going to be watching porn. I'm no longer going to be doing this and that.
Sounds super Islamic, man.
Yeah, it ironically, it is. Ironically. But here's the interesting thing. But then I can still stand against that religion and some of its practices because I still can see that it's not compatible with the way of the West. But anyway, let me just reel this back. A really interesting thing that happened to me recently. I was on the train and I've built a habit of talking to strangers, which is something that would have been like my biggest nightmare 10 years ago because I just wouldn't have had the confidence to do it. But now I like talking to strangers. Now I like to get to know people who don't look like they're a part of the scene or don't look like they're even interested in what we do because I like humans. I like to know people. Okay. Yeah. And very interesting. This lady who was sat next to me and she looks like your... I don't want to guess her age, but I think she had like a son that might have just been maybe a bit younger than me, but like, maybe her son would have been like in 20s or something like that. You get the picture, she looks like your average, just British mother.
Middle-aged lady.
No, not Middle East, British.
No, like, middle-aged.
Middle-aged, okay. That's fair to say, yes. And I'm talking to her, and then within 10 minutes, she, we get into a conversation. She seems really nice. And then she says her son's friend is a drummer. And then I'm like, oh, cool. What's his Instagram? I follow him, because I'm like that, I have no pretense. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll follow people. I'll connect with whoever. Like, I think it's a good thing to have. There's no pretense when it comes to that for me. And I'm really enjoying talking to her and stuff. And she's like, can I like look up your band online and stuff? And before I would have been like, oh, no. Now I'm different. I was like, sure. Here, it's called TRIVAX. You can go look it up. No problem.
Yeah.
I say it's music might not be for everyone, but you can check it out. You're more than welcome to. Thank you so much for even considering it. That's my jam. I leave it. I go about my day. I go and do the rehearsal with the guys. Then we go up and play a gig in Scotland. And on the way back, it's like a fucking 11-hour drive, travel back for me to get here from Scotland. And then I get this message request on Facebook, and then I go check it out. And it's that lady. She found my personal profile, and she wrote this thing for me. Before I say what it is, I thought it was extremely sweet. Okay. And she says that basically she's a devout Christian. She's a religious person. And that she actually saw some of the stuff that I had to say online. And that she, you know, like she could see that I had taken some risks. And the fact that she was then comparing me essentially to Jesus because he was someone who took risks. Yeah. And that she said that I will pray for you. And when I saw that, I was like, that is fucking awesome. Wow. Thank you, lady. I said to her, I'm honored to be included in your prayers. Thank you for being thoughtful. But then I was thinking to myself, you know, like you're talking about transgression. Jesus, he was the epitome of that transgression.
He was a fucking transgressive character, man. He was hanging out with fucking prostitutes and tax collectors, the scum of the earth that nobody else wanted to fucking look at. Like, yeah, he was an outlaw. I mean, he was killed like a fucking outlaw.
Yeah, and the worst of it, you know, it's a humiliating,
too bad
painful
he never
death.
existed.
But my point being that, you know,
Sorry,
even
man.
like...
Hold on just a second. I gotta switch my fucking headphones.
Yeah, go for it, buddy. We can start to wrap this one up soon, I think.
No, I don't give a fuck. Time's an illusion. It's just because they're running out of batteries because I was too preoccupied about putting up an extra mic and charging the phones and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No, it's all good, man. The point I was trying to make was the fact that, you know, I think, you know, coming back to your point, transgression is a necessity if it's in the pathway of good, especially, you know. Sometimes you just need to go through it to find out. I think that there's nothing more beautiful than taking on the path of transgression, knowing deep in your heart it is for the sake of good and it is for the sake of the betterment of things, and also being willing to take on the path of truth, even if it means costing your life. I think that's the most beautiful thing of all.
Just to underline your point right here, right now, this story about this Christian lady on the train saying that on a black metal podcast, pretty fucking transgressive, bro.
You got that right. Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
It's a good story. I like it.
Thanks, man. Well, this is the thing, Sturla. I didn't rebel against some of the standards and ways of being in Iran just to come over here and fit in with anywhere else. No, I am still that same person, and I'll carve the path of life my own way, whether anyone likes it or not. So there we are. And people are welcome to join for the ride, and they're welcome to look away. Either way is fine by me. I ain't changing how I'm doing things.
You're basically describing the entirety of my political philosophy, which is do what thou wilt and mind your own fucking business.
There we go.
Easy as that. But I wanted to add here to this story about Christians being cool, which is the last topic I ever expected to be talking about, and anything black metal related. English is not even my second language. It's my third language, technically. But I do put a lot of myself into my own lyrics. And the only time after, you know, fucking a decade being in the cool band, you know, the only time that I've ever seen anybody take like a closer look at my lyrics and analyze them in a way that is not just like, oh yeah, I read, you know, the Wikipedia article about the clip-off last night and now I'm gonna do an whatever. It's actually some fucking YouTube channel which is called like Christians React. Like you can go on YouTube
Oh, I know I know the channel. I've seen them actually. Yeah. They did one of your songs?
They did one of my songs, and they were like 93% right on the money.
Cool.
Like, they got everything that I was saying.
93%. That's cool. Right. Nice. Well played.
Well, it's just like, it's a song of the last Svartidauði album. It's The Wolves of the Red Sun. And in that...
Great song.
Thank you, darling. In that song, I quote back to back. Because, you know, I like quoting shit in my lyrics. Create a new context for previously said words. I have this whole prose going on. And then I quote one line from JFK, who killed himself. And the next one is from Conan the Barbarian. And like, I've been watching, I think it's like almost a half an hour long video. I was like, yeah, motherfuckers got it. Damn, those Christians really understand what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they missed this part. And
all right.
That made me kind of sad and disappointed that American Christians don't know these quotes by JFK. Which he said about the CIA, actually, is like they should be taken and splintered into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the winds.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yep. Interesting. That's cool. I didn't know you had that in that song. That's interesting.
Well, they didn't either.
Yeah, well, you should have commented on the video and said, hey, motherfuckers.
Dude, we've had this conversation before. I do not interact with comment sections.
I know.
And that's not me being a rock star diva. That's just me being
smart.
It's just...
It's
I gotta do
smart.
the dishes, man.
Like, yeah. No, that's you gotta do that.
Like,
that's you being smart, man. I'm interacting and reading them lesser and lesser, to be honest with you, because I think that the best sort of feedbacks that you get are usually stuff that come in person, because people don't want to like write that kind of stuff that's really intimate and personal to them. And then they come and share it with you in person, and then you only just realize the fucking impact that the work that you're putting in has on other people, So it's not something that we take for granted, that's for sure.
That's one of my favorite parts about being in this game to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like,
sure.
When I get, like, when people like come and tell me these things, or send me an email or a message or whatever, but like with comment sections, like, these aren't real people. These are just some usernames on a screen. And there is no
literally.
way for me to know, like, is this a bot?
Yeah.
Is this a troll? Is this a psychopath? I don't know.
Literally,
care.
like,
it's not my problem.
Usually when I, especially like on the more anti-Islamic stuff that I put out there, like I recently did an interview on Router, and that did really well. Like one of their Instagram reels, like fucking blew up. I think it must have gone into like the feed or the Explorer bit on Instagram. So I had like thousands of views. And then some of the comments that are like coming on and then trying to defend Islam, saying like I'm, like trying to chat shit basically. Every single one of them I've personally fucking disputed, by the way, and they all shut the fuck up. That's the best part about it, which is like, that's time out of my day that I don't always have, to be fair. But the interesting thing is, any single one of those profiles you go to, they got like 0 posts, and all the profiles are like locked up. It's like, okay, is that even real? Is Iran paying for this shit? It's like, it's interesting. Yeah.
It's like when Twitter was like the new thing, and you would see like in the news, like, oh, here's some person on Twitter saying a thing. And then you like, this is a crazy person. This is not a person that should be like commenting online. They should be in some institution heavily medicated.
Yep, 100%.
You know,
Yep,
or like a shaman in the forest. I don't know. I mean, mental illness is still a real thing, but you know, so are magicians. Only
Absolutely.
one is approved. I don't know how to say it.
Well, you could
you
say
know
the
what I mean.
same about... I know exactly what you mean, and you could easily say the same about some of these fucking incels and retards in the black metal scene as well, very easily. You know, that's even easier to do, but we won't go into that.
No, let's get into that, because one of my favorite things about being in this game is, like I said, is to interact with the fans and like get their perspective and, you know, on things. But one of the things that I hate the most about being in this game is interacting with the fans and getting their perspective on shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. No, it's just I think a
Turns
lot of
out
people...
that a lot of people are just fucking retarded, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, and they project their own, like, kind of insecurities at you and stuff, you know, and then you experience that more and more as a public figure, and then you realize, actually, this has got nothing to do with me and everything to do with that person, whatever they're going through in their life. And you know what? I'll forgive him. It's fine. Sturla, my man, this has been such a fucking pleasure, man.
Oh yeah, you gotta take a piss now? You leaving?
I wasn't gonna take a piss. I thought we just wrap it up. I thought that we make this the moment. We make this the moment the dragon devours its own tail. What do you reckon?
Hell yeah! Until next time.
There we go. If we both do it at the same time, then I can use
Form
this
like
as
a
the
Voltron
thing.
and go deep like a Navy SEAL.
Fuck yeah. My man, bro, this was such a fucking blast. Holy shit. I really had fun. Did you enjoy it?
I hated every second of it.
Good.
I will
Glad to
be
hear
blocking you everywhere. And then I'm probably just gonna run into traffic.
Well, I mean, try not to. Try not to. Even if you...
If you really want to break out of the three-dimensional space-time continuum, matrix, prison, running into traffic might just be the thing that you need.
I don't know, man. I think dying's pretty gay, you know? And if you think JFK killing himself was a thing, wait till you find out about dissection. Anyway, I think this was a great chat, and thank you so much for a fucking awesome time. And to everyone else who joined us, please go and support the fuck out of Locabrenna. Sturla's got some fucking killer stuff cooking, man. You know,
I make music. Go click the links and buy my music so I can finally afford to run into traffic.
I'm trying to think of that. I can finally afford to run into traffic. It's like that fucking Phil Anselmo line from like Pantera when they played like Donington or something, where he turns around in the middle of Walk, and he not Walk, it's This Love. He just turns around and says, I got too much money to kill myself now. It's just randomly like fucking line in the middle of the song out of nowhere, and it's just like, that's what you're saying. You're kind of saying the opposite. You want to be able to afford to run into the traffic. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you can support Sturla so that you can support his endeavor to run into the... Yes, you can support his endeavor to run into the traffic. But seriously though, man, great fucking stuff. Love the vibe. Really, really enjoyed what you're doing with the band. Fuck yeah. And to everyone else who's been listening to the podcast, hope you enjoyed episode 150 of Iblis Manifestations. I think this encapsulated perfectly why I like doing this. And maybe we'll see you on the next episode.